Thomas, and I will help you to wrap up here then what are complex adaptive systems. So we know that complex adaptive systems or complex systems are composed of many entities of possible different nature in principle that can interact in many and generally contextual ways. So this is wrapping up what complex systems are. The salient features: contextuality, which means non-trivial dependencies for the interactions and whose natural effect is the complexity of the system. Feedback, where output acts as input and vice versa, whose natural effect is regulation and also the positive feedback, the amplification. But regulation is the important effect for our discourse here. Then self-organization, which is the co-regulation of the parts, whose effect is the emergence of a stable whole. And that's why we get emergence as the next property, which is wholes are entities themselves. So the non-trivial dependencies, having that output acts as input, create co-regulation of the parts of the system, creating wholes that become entities themselves, whose effect is the hierarchy, as the hierarchical existence in complex systems. So, interestingly, then, the behavior of complex systems over long periods of time, long in relations to the scale of time at which the complex systems act. So, for example, if we think of long for the ant example, where we saw the ants that can only move over a leaf, but they can create a bridge to move to another region of space and accessible for one particular ant. So the time that it takes for the ant group to create this bridge is much longer than the time that it takes for an ant to move locally in one step. So there is a long period of time. So the behavior of complex systems is adaptive over long periods of time in relation to the scale at which the entities of the complex systems behave. So then, complex adaptive systems is the study, the phenomena, the applications, the representations, all what it comes around adaptive behavior of complex systems. So that's why it has that name. But now, understanding these four features, you might have a much clearer perspective of what are we talking about. So now, what about future knowledge of this world? We got traditional science coming for the last 400 years, and now we see that information is interconnecting and flowing in an exponentially growth. The information interconnection and flow is growing more and more. The communication, the societies, the politics, now we understand that in our world of information is a complex adaptive system. This is going to shape the future of our society. The fact that information is flowing faster and faster is starting to change all our structure of communication, all our social rules, the politics, and all that. So we need to start thinking about the world as a complex adaptive system, where there are local self-organized relationships that emerge, creating this complex adaptive behavior that feedbacks positively and negatively in the very entities. And this is all influenced by a changing external environment, which is changing not only the local but also the global rules. And this is a hierarchical, so this is just a simple picture, because you need to think that this has many more layers of description, because it's hierarchical, and we know that complex adaptive systems are hierarchical.